Okay, good morning. Welcome. Thanks for attending my presentation this morning. My name is Jonathan Sharp. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director at Britannic. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk through how we can support, empower, and augment employees for the new normal. If you've got any questions, please do add them into the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them as we go. Okay, so first of all, I think it'd be useful to set some context for the presentation. So there's been a lot of talk about the new normal. There's obviously a lot of confusion around what that actually means. What's clear in our lives, both personal and professional, is that there's been some serious impact caused by the global pandemic. The way we work and operate has been seriously disrupted. And there's been some fundamental changes made, and it's highly unlikely we'll fully return to how we worked before lockdown. So the first cases of COVID-19 were recorded in January 2020, and then from there it was very rapid how things evolved. So the middle of March, the government were revising against all but essential travel. So, of course, at this point, organisations were looking at options for home working. This was further accelerated a couple of days later when all schools and a quarter of all businesses were forced to close. So that was really the first big wave where people were working from home and, of course, trying to balance childcare as well. After this, towards the end of the month, unfortunately, there were 9 million people that were impacted and placed onto the government furlough scheme. And then from there was a stay-at-home order issued by the government, and 49% of the workforce were now asked to work from home. So what did we see? Well, we worked with customers naturally throughout these periods, looking at the different phases. So very much first was looking at how we could help people to rapidly mobilize en masse and at scale, with many tens of thousands of users moving to work from home within a matter of days. Two prime examples. First was Trailfinders, so long-standing clients of Britannic, and we worked with them to move over 1,000 employees to effective home working positions within 2 days. And similarly, Marker Study Group and other long-standing clients moved over 3,000 employees to home working within 3 days. So a lot of challenge, a lot of working together, and actually just making sure that people could connect and they had the facilities to work from home and service clients. SIP and cloud technology certainly made things easier for us. And certainly where we were hosting customers in our cloud architecture, it really did make it a lot easier to be able to just merely connect from a different location to that central system. We saw a range of different video tools and solutions that people were using. So I think over lockdown I've used 7 or 8 different video platforms. So what happened over time was there was a lot of inconsistency in the technology that people were using. So that really moved us into the next sphere, which was about business continuity and looking at the standardization of tools and the way in which people were working, really from a recognition that this was not going to be a quick short-term period that people were working through, but actually this is something that people needed to get right for the long term. And now what we're seeing today is the move into organizations who are looking at how they can operate in leaner ways, looking at how they can save money, and also do more with less. So I'll share some examples of that as well. Digital transformation has definitely come to the fore. And what I'd say is, and I think it's well known, this is that COVID-19, the pandemic, has definitely accelerated the change that companies have gone through and brought many digital transformation plans forward by a factor of years. And what we've seen over the period, we're already seeing this, coming to the fore, but again, it's been accelerated, is 4 key areas. So first of all, which is about how do we optimize the way in which people work from home and the technology that they use? How do we unify communication? So not just for employees, but customers as well. And I think that's an important aspect that, we're used to working in the digital world. People don't just pick the telephone up. There's applications where we can use messaging, email, video communications. So again, this was something that really accelerated over the period. And certainly what we're seeing is a greater demand to deliver that same uniform experience and unified experience for customers as well across a range of different digital channels, including some more consumer-based social media and chat systems as well. And what's important there is to be able to pivot from one channel to another during a live conversation. The other aspect is about process and workflow automation. So looking at how and where you can streamline things and looking at the growth of self-service. So this is definitely a big direction of travel that we're seeing. But it's very, very important not to lose sight of the customer experience. So modernization and digitization programs must be looked at through the lens of the customer. So what we've seen actually through recent months is the biggest home working experiment ever undertaken. So there was just shy of 24 million people in the country who have never worked from home out of a working population of around about 35 million. So a huge proportion of people had never worked from home. Many people weren't geared up for it, so they didn't have the technology in place. They didn't have the environment to work from home. Socially, maybe they didn't have the experience to work from home, and psychologically as well. There was an impact on mental health. We've seen a negative impact on mental health around some of the isolation that's been caused from home working, and of course the pressures and concerns and worries associated with COVID-19. In many cases, we've also seen a knock-on effect as well on customer experience. So looking at the quality and consistency of services delivered to customers, how are we managing and understanding the voice of the customer and the true experience that's delivered across a distributed workforce? What tools are in place to audit, manage and support home workers and monitor and manage the customer interaction levels that we want to work to? But what's clear is that many people don't want to return to the office. They've seen the benefits of working from home. They've seen the flexibility. And in fact, many organizations have also come to the realization that actually home working is something that does work for them. And many organizations have announced that employees can indeed work from home indefinitely. The choice to go to the office, but there will be provision to work from home indefinitely. So there are a lot of benefits of home working, whether it be higher productivity, and 50% of workers say that they get more work done, they're more productive when working from home. Better work-life balance, people being able to reduce that amount of time lost in commuting and actually get some time back in their lives. I think it's important as well to recognize some of the flexibility that's available. So, it's about getting the job done, not necessarily about, working 9 till 5. So this is a shift in mindset. There's a lot more flexibility around different shift patterns and when people can log on and providing the ability for really short-term work to meet peaks and troughs in demand. It certainly can extend the talent pool, so people don't necessarily have to live by the office to work at the company. And of course, as people go through different changes in their lives, it enables the opportunity to retain the skills, the law staff, and reduce turnover as well. there's definitely a financial saving that can be achieved from home working too. So whether that's from an employer perspective, and it's I think it's £600 to £1,300 per month is the average cost for office space per employee in London. Plus, of course, from an employee perspective, there's big cost savings associated with the commute and the local coffee shop and buying lunch, etc. So there are impacts from working from home, and I think it's important to understand what these are and could be, because this is something we need to consider in our technology design, but also more importantly, the management and interaction with people. So I think one of the biggest issues that has been experienced is around loneliness and a lack of social interaction with colleagues within the workplace. People can be easily distracted, so we certainly, we had to look at how we could accommodate people working from home when the schools were closed, so that they could still meet the needs of the business, but also the needs of the family as well. So looking at how you can be flexible with employees. And there is that challenge of, if people can't see what you're doing, do they know whether you're working and whether you're contributing? So of course that's got unintended consequences around people maybe not switching off, worrying about work, and and how do you actually work together to build an effective team culture and collaborate on projects when everyone is distributed and at home. So there's a number of things that I think we should consider. So supporting employees is an important aspect here, and what we need to do is we need to make sure that the technology that's delivered is as effective working from home as it is in the office. And I think a good position to start from really is the concept of work from anywhere. So if we can indeed work from anywhere, it really shouldn't make a difference whether I'm at home, whether I'm in the office, whether I'm at a touchdown office, whether I'm on holiday. I've still got access to the tools. Of course, it creates security aspects that we need to consider, and then it's about connectivity, availability, and the wonders of modern broadband. Cloud has been great to support home workers. The concept, if I can connect to the internet, I can connect to the cloud, I've got access to my tools, I can use the full range of systems and applications that are available to me, and I can collaborate with colleagues. There was a massive increase in video communication, certainly at the start of lockdown. I don't think we were unique in running more meetings with more team meetings to really engage with our colleagues, share ideas, but also to ensure that there was social interaction. So the Friday night quizzes and regular video meetings, and I think to the point where people have really focused on trying to invest time in embracing employees through video, that we're now hearing about new terms such as video fatigue. So there's a range of tools available, and it's about working out what's appropriate to support the employees in their work and engagement with others. It's important to engage with each other. That's key. So how do you engage with customers, partners, co-workers, and management? So the technology that we use today really should, certainly with video aspects and screen sharing and document sharing and things like persistent chat and workspaces, really does bring people together to be able to work more effectively than we'd have certainly experienced prior to lockdown. And the other questions then is, how do you onboard staff? How do you train? How do you develop? And how do you measure and manage people across a distributed workforce? So, a lot of different things to consider there. It's important to empower employees, and I think what's key here is that technology should help, not hinder people. So it's about extending the right tools, the right information, with the right context to the right people at the right time. So whatever technology that you're using, it should be easy to use. There should be a simple software interfaces to be able to support and empower people. So we've been doing a lot of work where we've been providing unified solutions, a single pane of glass for bringing together different data and different communication streams, save people having to move from one application to another and have the confusion in actually just doing their job. When we're looking at interaction with customers, information and context is key. So aspects such as screen popping or intelligent routing, using data insights to be able to connect the right people in the right way at the right time over the right channels and provide the right information. So when that contact comes in, it's an efficient interaction, it's a friendly interaction, and we can focus on adding value and providing a personalized service, as opposed to going through all these different steps to try and understand who people are, what they're doing, how we can help, and then potentially even having to reroute to someone else. Make it easy to find information. Businesses have so much information at their disposal, whether it's on the website, on intranets, frequently asked questions, knowledge bases, CRMs. So within that, how do we extend that to employees to help them do their job, to help them interact with customers, to prompt and guide them, and also to give that right information to customers. How do we help our staff, our employees, our colleagues deliver a great customer experience? Then the last aspect is really around how do we augment our employees? So it's important to recognize that people are, they're the most expensive resource within a business as a collective. We're all under pressure today with high workloads and increased digital communication. So what's important is to look at how we blend the human resource with technology. So it's not just about people do everything and they use technology to support the actions and interactions. It's actually about what can we free people up from doing so they can focus on adding value and delivering great service. So this is where a lot of the automation and AI technologies that we're providing to customers start to come to the fore. What we're able to do is to start to free people up to spend time solving problems and adding value, supported with the right information. We can go through the initial process where customers are self-serving, where they're getting information, whether that's via a website, whether it's via an automated chat system or automated email handling. It's important to look at where the high volume, low value, repetitive tasks are. What could be automated and how can we free time up? And then from there, it's about how do we manage the handover between technology and people. So if we're going to provide this technology layer to augment our human resource, then when the contact does need to go to a person, if that's the case, then we need to provide that information. We need to provide that context so that the customer doesn't have to start all over again. We can have a seamless handoff between technology and people. So one of the ways that we work with customers to look at how we can help to improve the management of remote staff, there's a lot of technology at our disposal through our class-leading ecosystem. And indeed, we've been providing recording, reporting, and workforce management and optimization technologies for some time. I think what we're seeing is actually the type of information that we need to pull together and have at our disposal is much broader than it's ever been. So where people are saying they get more productive work done at home than in the office, that's great. But what's important is to be able to measure monitor, and indeed replicate, share success, and grow the performance and the skill of the collective team. So here's one example: the technology behind our exhibition stand, product called Rewards. And what we're able to do is to look across different data inputs. It's not just traditional call center metrics and stats. We blend those in with other data sets. So it could be information from CRM systems. It could be accountancy applications. And we're looking at what goes up towards being good. What's a good outcome that we want to achieve? So we're looking at these different data points, and if we're able to do well across all of these different areas, then actually we've got a much greater chance of success for a good, strong, positive outcome. So it's about how do we measure multiple data sets, but in a way that ultimately is engaging for staff. It means something to staff as well. So it aligns with their role, their objectives, and of course they can see and track how well they're performing individually, as a team, and also associated with their colleagues as well. So it's a good way of not just rewarding the top performers, but actually setting appropriate targets and objectives right across different teams and people, and rewarding improvements across the board. We're using gamification techniques to help improve employee engagement. So, different leaderboards and battles and cups and awards and points and scores, and linking it into payroll as well. So, part of this is about how do we change some of the tools that we use when it comes to measurement and management to support this cultural and behavioural shift that's required in the new normal. One of the other aspects when we're looking at how do we support people is I mentioned about accessing data and information. So this is a key area for actually driving some really great efficiency. The average number of applications that people interact with within the contact center is between 5 and 7. I've actually seen as many as 13 applications that people have to go into to be able to access information to perform their role and service customers. So that's obviously very confusing. It's very time consuming. And of course, we can only begin to imagine the impact on customer experience, where people are looking around and, we've all heard it, my computer's going slow, and people are struggling to find the information that they need. So by bridging all these different applications and creating context sensitive screens and forms, or using AI to pull the information and bring it to the fore for staff when they're interacting with customers, there's some significant time saving and efficiency saving that can be achieved. So the other aspect, and we've been seeing this over the last few years, is the move to automation, but also the demand to deliver personalized service. So we're starting to see real-time digital personalization, so web content changing based upon who the customer is and what process, what stage they're through particular buying cycles or interactions that they're having. So what information we present is determined based upon who the customer is, what we know, and the context of the inquiry and their progression through these cycles. We've long worked with customers to support these different levers, and of course, I think what's happening today is there's a greater demand on looking at efficiency because of some of the challenges moving forward around budgets and headcount. So what can we automate? How can we free people up to add value and deliver great service? How can we take away the distractions that are caused, which ultimately impacts not just the employee, but the business and, of course, the customer experience too. The other aspect is how do we blend the technology to be able to make it easy to personalize the service and deliver an increase in first contact resolution. So one of the customers we've worked with, a leading housing association, we were looking at particular processes and problems that they had, and we were working together to look at how and where we could streamline and improve efficiency as part of an overall workplace modernization program. We looked at their ID&V process. So it was a telephone-based process, so people would call in. For the first 60 seconds of the call, the agent would ask the customer a series of questions to identify and verify that they were who they said they were, to be able to then start the service interaction. And they were receiving around about 3,000 calls a day that needed to go through this process. So, very resource hungry, not adding any value to either party. It was something that they had to do, but that was actually consuming a lot of resource. So we worked with them. We designed a voice-based automated process for ID&V, and it enabled them within 8 days to achieve some fantastic success that equates to an annualized saving of over 23,000 hours a year, or 14 full-time employees. And of course, now we're working together to continue to review, refine, and improve the results further. But something from within a very, very short space of time had delivered significant improvements back to the business. And I'll share some examples shortly around how we've also enabled significant automation and streamlining through digital contact as well, in addition to voice interaction. Okay, the cost of communication, we shouldn't underestimate the amount it takes to service customers, and how valuable our human resource is. So these are stats from some industry research that we have access to. So again, we've got a lot of research and stats, and if anyone wants access to any of this information, let me know, and I'm happy to help out. There is a very, very clear financial benefit and argument for automation. If we look there from a live telephone call through to a conversational AI or chat system, the cost to serve can be 20 times more expensive using people than automating these transactions through technology. I'm certainly not advocating automating everything. I think people most definitely have their place, and as I said, it's about empathy, it's about adding value, it's about problem solving. However, there are a lot of repetitive tasks that are ideal to actually automate through technology, and we're working with customers and looking at how we do this, and there's some significant return on investment examples that we'd be able to share. So when we're planning change, I think, as I said before, it's important to look through the lens of the customer and remember the importance of customer experience. So we've heard over recent years the importance of customer experience. The great stat from Gartner that 89% of companies believe that customer experience will be the primary focus for competition moving forward. What's interesting though is, what are we actually delivering? So if we set out that we want to deliver a great customer experience, how do we define what that customer experience actually is and should be? What feedback have we had from customers? What do our customers want and need? And how do we then meet those requirements? 71% of customers want a consistent experience across all channels, but only 29% say they actually get it. So again, we're helping customers to look at appropriate SLAs and how you manage the experience across a whole range of different digital interactions, so that as you're shifting more towards self-service and online and digital, it's not a degradation of service. You're actually working to the experience that customers want, and you've got the ability, if somebody does get stuck or does need help, to then pivot and get support from a person who knows what that contact's about and can jump in and help immediately. 50%, over 50% expect a response within an hour, even over weekends. So again, just think about this, the speed of response that people expect today and the always-on culture. So how can we reduce customer effort? How do we do it? A few things to think about that could get in the way, clunky processes, systems, the need for training, higher workloads that people have, increased expectations, and digital noise. Routing of channels, so we have some great technology that can help, where we can bring all these different channels in, whether it's phone calls, emails, web chat, WhatsApp, social, even IoT sensors. We can bring them in, we can triage, we can read, respond, and route. So certain things we can automate, other things we can hand over to people as required. So the results, we got some great results. I think two of our customers are talking this week. So the first one, we had a client that had won a very large contract, and what they needed to do was to be able to handle a large volume of emails. We built a system for them, live within 5 days, and they within 10 weeks handled over 210,000 emails, successfully automating 157,000 at first point of contact. So that saved them large numbers of agents that they would have had to have employed and enabled them to cope with massive demands. We're going to hear from Dr. Rachel Bentz this week around how we worked with Queen Mary University to be able to build a new contact center that provided a range of different digital interactions and channels to improve the customer experience and provide an efficient way of handling clearing across a distributed workforce working from home. And then the other one was another client we'll hear from, Sunspot. So how they deployed technology from us that was designed to improve the efficiency of dealing with notifications and email alerts coming in, but enabled them to pivot and actually provide cope with an increase in demand with less staff that were furloughed. So there's a lot of great things that we can do there to help customers. Important, let's look at the vision. So where are you today? Where do you want to be and why? Consider the customer, the employee, and the business objectives. So when we're looking at our digital future, what should we be looking at? Set the vision, and then from there, it's about how do we solve the problems. Adopt a problem-solving approach. It works hand in hand with actually transitioning through this vision. What's the problem we're trying to solve? Why do we need to solve the problem? What's the benefit we hope to expect? And then how do we go about solving the problem? Some key considerations when planning change: culture and buy-in. Culture's key. A poor culture trumps great strategy. Get started, keep going, be flexible, adaptive, ready to scale. So build with scale in mind and involve users in the change that you go through. A good place to start, once you've got the vision and you're clear on where you want to go moving forward, start to understand the problems that are going to get in the way of you getting there. Look at areas that wasted time and effort is spent dealing with high volume, low value repetitive tasks. If those can be automated, you can start to free up time. Great quote, which we'll all know: it's not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. I particularly like the quote from Jeff Bezos of Amazon: there's no alternative to digital transformation. Visionary companies will carve out new strategic options for themselves. Those that don't adapt will fail. So we are seeing businesses that emerge that are digital first, born in the cloud. What will be the impact on traditional businesses as we move forward? So it's important to start this change and don't take too long before you get going with it. Without doubt, we're seeing an acceleration of digital and automation. self-service, augmenting people and technology so they work together, moving towards a work from anywhere culture, including hybrid working in the office, at home, in touchdown zones, but maintaining the focus on customer experience. Thank you for your time. I hope you found it interesting. I've covered a fair amount of ground. You know, we're more than happy and we'd love to carry on conversations with you. We've got a long and successful heritage in working together with customers to support and embrace change, innovate and solve problems underpinned with class-leading technology. We're here to help. Thank you for your time. And I think I'm unfortunately just a little bit short on time for questions. So if there are any questions, please do. We'll pick them up after this session, and we look forward to helping you. Thank you very much.